We don't have a lot of time, but I have a lot of things to say, especially to the small business community. It's dear to my heart because I'm also a small business owner. I own multiple small businesses, and it's a challenge to keep them alive, especially after COVID. And most of the small businesses don't have all the advantages big enterprises do. We're going to try to cover all of this in the short 20 minutes that we have. So I'm going to be speeding up and slowing down when it's appropriate. Feel free to ask any questions towards the end of the session. If you wait, you can actually put together your questions and use free consulting. Borrow my agent brain to ask questions about the problems you're having today. My full name is Carlos Alberto Villalba Franco, born in Venezuela, raised in Colombia and Brazil, educated in New York, and acquired so many letters to my last name in terms of certification that you can just call me Carlos. Carlos is fine. The last name, Villalba, Villalba, forget it. Don't you ever call me doctor because I'm not curing anyone. Or if you don't have gray hair with me, like me, don't call me dude. I'm not your dude. You need to be on the gray hair circle to call me dude. Or no hair. And I respect that for a variety of reasons. I've been doing this for quite a while, almost like 30 years. In my former life, I'd been a network administrator, a DBA, a developer, a system managers, a system administrators, the water boy, the cooler boy, a lot of positions. Those operational positions gave me a really good perspective when I switched my career completely towards cybersecurity, but also gave me an appreciation for the challenges the operators and the system administrators go through. It's very easy to tell a system administrator, but patch your stuff. You kidding me? If it was that easy, just press a button. It's more complicated than just patch your stuff. It's different technologies, different platforms, different locations, and unpatchable stuff to begin with. And as you know, in a lot of the small business communities, we have the yo-yo, the one-man band. So the owner is the one that is doing the IT, the security, the compliance, and by the way, they're running their eyelashes businesses as well, which is what they were supposed to do to begin with. But now they're working in IT when they were supposed to be doing catering or organizing parties. A very quick exercise. You don't have to get up for much for this. If you have a business card in your pocket that you can share with a colleague next to you, please do me a favor in less than a minute. Grab your business card and give it to somebody. I know that a lot of us don't have a business card today, that you have QR codes. Exchange the damn QR codes. I'm just watching to see if any of you have a business card that you can swap right away. None. No business card. We go to our conferences without business card. You're killing me here. I'm dead. Just give it to someone, sir. The person next to you, the person behind you, fine. And another one over there, yeah. This is how easy to steal personal identifiable information. Done. Done. That is mine, by the way. You can try call all day long and have a call screening service that will not let you through unless you need to get through. But this is how easy it is to obtain personal identifiable information, just out of a business card. And now that we see a convergence of cybersecurity attack with physical attacks, it's getting more interesting. In the past, we didn't have LinkedIn, that I can check a person up to see who's that person within the organization. So several years ago, whenever we needed to do a physical cybersecurity assessment, then we have to infiltrate an organization from a physical security point of view, we didn't have the luxury of, I'm going to pretend I'm going to see Martin, the VP of Product and Services. No. So what we have to do are similar things to this. Sometimes we'll go to a parking lot or we'll go to a coffee shop and say, here's a free gift card for your coffee today. I just need your business card. And people wouldn't ask or question for a second, oh, free coffee, here's my business card. And then we use those business cards to then fabricate badges or copy badges and then get through the front door for the employee orientation program that never existed, but somebody let us in nevertheless. So PII is important. It can enable you to do business, but it can disable your manners that can be detrimental for your small business. Only one question, and I'm not gonna inundate it with questions. On this one, this is an easy one. This is just to get a baseline where we are in terms of the small business community here. You outsource your entire PCI to a third party someone, and the credit card data gets compromised. Who's liable? The brand, the owner, the franchise, Acme as the provider? Raise your hands for option A. Raise your hands for option B. C. D. I am pleased to know that you guys understand how this works. The owner is ultimately the person liable. PCI, and especially PCI DSS, is not here to make the world a better place. It does to a certain degree because it's improved the security posture of a great deal of merchants. But it was devised by the brands to transfer down the liability as hard as they can to the merchant. And the merchant is the small business owner. It has nothing to do with making the world a better place. It's so much fraud that somebody needs to pay for the party. If you don't have that understanding, at some point you will pay for a party you will be unable to pay, and you will lose your business. Not trying to scare you here. This is just realities. Not going to give you full of a bunch of stats and what have you and so forth. But why this topic now? Because we haven't gotten any better. That's why. The small business community keeps shutting down businesses and closing doors because of inefficiencies in the cybersecurity arena. It is heartbreaking to see a mom and pop shop close doors because they don't have a way to fulfill their obligations because they've been compromised. And now they have responsibilities to the clients and to the partners. And they have no idea, and they still have no idea how to go about it. And they go to conferences, they hear the same things that you do, like you have to patch, you have to protect, you have to do all of these things, but it's not that easy. It is a little bit more complex. And if you unify to that other things, then it makes it a little bit more difficult. Attacks are evolving because the hackers are not just using one venue of attack. The hackers are now utilizing multiple attack vectors, combining those attack vectors and making it more interesting. I'm lucky that I have today my director of the Threat Labs department that we have at my company, Michael Berardi over there. One of the best hackers I've known so far. Sweet guy. You would never think he's dangerous. He is. But he is in a way that he'll help small businesses to make sense of complex information. So when we're hacking, we're not just hacking the old way, just do a scan and do this. Hacking has evolved significantly. Now we're getting a great deal of open source information. We're looking for your information on the dark web, on the open web, on the clear web, in Google, in LinkedIn, in Facebook, on newspapers, on libraries, you name it. And if we don't have it, we will obtain it. Then with all that information, we draw a map and then we decide where's your weakest point and we're going to attack that point for a certain period of time. If you don't do that in a friendly environment with a friendly guy, like a sweetheart like Berardi here, you're going to get popped by a bad guy, period. If you don't test your defenses, you're going to fall. The same way IT has been evolving over the years, that we have evolved from being on-prem in the backdoor closet to being on the cloud, the same thing has been happening in hackers. So now we've seen weapons, cyber weapons that are ML capable, machine learning capable, and artificial intelligence capable to actually define what's the best path of attack. We even see commercial providers commercializing this technology to help facilitate automatic testing. But hackers have been doing this now for 2 years. They are ahead of today's technology by at least 1 or 2 years. We're just catching up. So if I have to study 20 different variables with 20 different timings, I have to do a multivariate analysis. That statistical calculation alone is going to take me half an afternoon, and I may not get a really good number. I throw all of that to a mathematical model and a free AI engine, and it tells me these are your top 3 chances to be successful. Damn. Hackers are using that too. They're not using these new technologies just to draw pictures of dead presidents. They're actually injecting malicious attacks in these pictures and these videos as well. So if you think hackers are that stereotypical image that we used to get some years ago, a lonely individual in a dark corner in a basement, you're sorely mistaken. A hacker looks like Berardi, like me, like Trent, like you, like any other individual out there. And the resources to learn the trade are so easy to obtain now. All they have to do is to Google your way out of something, and you may get a solution or two that may work for you if you're clever enough. And if you're not clever enough, then you need to get good friends. The complexity of attacks are not only more complex, but are diversified. You don't see a ransomware attack just being a ransomware attack. Now we see a ransomware attack that is combined with a phishing attack, that is combined with a DNS attack and a DDoS attack, all at once, to create fires whenever fires are not supposed to be, to distract the organization while you take hold in a totally different place. Like the same way we used to wage wars in the past. So attack the front, attack the back, and the flanks. We're doing the same, our hackers are doing the same principles in today's attacks. We see the integration of physical and cyber attacks getting more traction, especially after COVID. Very recently, I was having a conversation with a good friend that he owns a medium business in Scottsdale, Arizona, and he was telling me of an infiltration that he thought this is crazy. I have nothing. I don't know what these people are going to steal from me. And I said, no, don't think that way. They can steal your business. He says, Carlos, why would somebody pretend to be a new employee in a company where we have only 20 people? And the person was able to get in. Why? Because the workforce is no longer at the headquarters. Only 3 or 4 people show up at the headquarters. And maybe those 2 or 3 people are not aware that this person is not supposed to be there anymore. So we're seeing interesting combinations of physical attacks with cybersecurity attacks, well orchestrated, that are being very successful. And most organizations are really trying to keep up. Again, keep up is basically, somebody did something on my website, let's fix it. I got a computer infected, fix the computer and move to the other fire. It's moving from fire to fire to fire. There is a very reactive mindset. And you have to do it. You don't have any other choice. But you have to do it rapidly enough so you can be proactive. Because being on just blocking punches all day long and all night long, you're not going to be able to sustain that. It's exhausting. Multiple risks for the small business industry. It's not just for the small business, but also for any industry. The type of data that you handle is going to determine or dictate whether or not you have compliance obligations around that data or those data sets. If you're handling financial data, PCI applies to you. If you're handling personal health related information, HIPAA applies to you. If you don't know what you're handling, most likely NIST-CSF will apply to you. So in short, the data type that you use is going to dictate some of the controls that you have to put in place. We still see in a great deal of these small businesses that they have just one flat network. And why not? Sometimes when you go to this establishment, it's just a business. In the back of the room, they have a back server. In the front, they have 2 or 3 POS systems. They may have IoT technology, playing music or playing video or doing something cool like chairs connected to the internet that you speak to them and they do a massage on you. They have technology, but it's just in one place. Typically, that type of businesses don't have a smart or intelligent switch to segment the networks. Everything is connected to the same ISP device the ISP gave you it has 2, 3, or 4 ports. A lot of the times, instead of putting a managed switch, they're putting just a hub, or they're just plugging in another router in series, and now creating another opportunity for attackers for having a second access point. So, and it's not uniform. The same business that you have here, a small business, and you take that business and you open another franchise or a second business, let's say in Florida, and another one in Arizona, the ISP providers are completely different. IP addressing completely different. The way you authenticate, sometimes you may or may not need credentials. And the equipment that they provide for you to connect to those services varies significantly. So for you to standardize anything of what you're doing here in North Carolina to what I'm doing in Arizona, from that point of view, it's going to be difficult because you have the similar providers giving you services. So that means you have to standardize on your tech to have at least a fighting chance. Because if you keep relying on what the providers are giving you, that is not good enough. It will never be good enough. Very recently, I had a conversation with friends that they were having challenges with their loyalty program. I said, what could possibly be wrong here? This is the referral coupons or the codes. Yes, sir? Yeah, the referrals and the coupons. And what they do is people were faking the codes. Faking the codes all day, all night long. And another problem that I see with the small businesses, they try to think the same way as big enterprises think. If I buy this box and another box, call it whatever box, the antivirus, the IDS, the IPS, the this and that, okay, I got all the technical controls big organizations have, but there is no integration. There is not a single point of view to identify what's happening with the information that is traversing those systems. Or there is not enough action to close the gaps or to actually mitigate the risk that is being reported by the different technologies. Yes, everybody can tell you have problems here. Can you fix it? Some of these technologies can't. So the infrastructure is mixed for a variety of reasons. The infrastructure is constantly aging. What you buy today, by a year or two, is going to be completely outdated. We still have a great deal of technology that can be patched. It cannot be updated. It's running on firmware code. So a lot of those Alexa stuff that you have hanging out on your small business and all those, at some point they're going to be hacked. And there's not going to be nothing to stop that from happening, unless we start segmenting our networks. If you don't segment our networks, you're asking for problems later on and you're going to be hacked. Some of the small businesses don't have policies and procedures or any governance. You need to have them. Even if you're a very small business, you need to have it written somewhere. This is what we do when X happens, when Y happens, when Z happens. It doesn't necessarily be as formal as any other organization, but you need to have it in place. And then comes compliance and COVID, the COVID aftermath. The empty offices, the exodus to the cloud when we needed to communicate and collaborate with other organizations, and then finding ourselves in hot waters because hackers are hijacking our Zoom meetings for activism. So we learned those lessons and we continue to learn those lessons. We're still dealing with some of the C-19 aftermath. And as you can tell, probably, I don't know if that happens to you as well, it's very, very difficult to find qualified resources today. If you're looking for IT, cybersecurity professionals for your companies, it's difficult, very, very difficult. And try to get them out of their houses. Good luck to you. So, for those that think, my small business is small business, who would want that? Actually, no, you are the primary target, because you don't have the defenses that big businesses have. And I can use your infrastructure to pivot other attacks to other places. And that's why big hacking, underground communities, they have a good control and a good way to perform attacks in different parts of the globe, because they own remote infrastructure in small business environments, and we don't even know the hackers are living with us. That's how bad it gets to be. One of the things that we see with the small business organizations, they don't take advantage of some of the built-in services that are provided by, let's say, email providers or some communication providers. I see small businesses that are subscribing to, let's say, Microsoft for email and calendar, but they don't enable the anti-phishing features because it's not enabled by default. You have to change that configuration. So even a small step like that is enable anti-phishing solutions to email can help significantly. So I usually ask this question when I'm consulting with a small business or any businesses: what is it you're protecting? What are you protecting? What do you want to protect? And everybody will have a different answer. Well, I'm trying to protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data. No, I didn't ask you for a definition of security. What are you protecting? Well, data. Okay. What data? All of it. That sounds like too much work. Because it is. If you're trying to protect all your data, it's too much work. But this is the reason why I do it. The reason that I do it as a small business, and because by protecting my small business, I'm protecting my way of life. This is how a lot of people make a living, with their small businesses. In my small businesses, I have family and friends working. And actually, my customers, a great deal of them are family and friends too. So make no mistake. What I do for the small business community is because I'm protecting my family. And I hope you can do the same. It's not easy out there. Of course, we're protecting data, but it's not just the data. It's the type of data that is relevant. And as you can see from previous slides, data is not the only thing that matters to a hacker. Your infrastructure is really good as well, because it can be utilized to get to that point. These slides are going to be available, but I want to jump to the maturity model. You've seen this in other presentations, and it gets to be really complex. We're oversimplifying that to give you a recipe for the small business to have a fighting chance. If you apply a holistic plan to what you're trying to do, you can get to a point that you're no longer reactive mode. And this is the step-by-step that I'm trying to do. Pick a framework. You don't know what to pick this. Complete a self-assessment. Classify the information. Don't apply controls to everything in the organization. Select what are the things that if they stop working today, you're not going to be able to make revenue. Those are the things you have to protect. We don't need to protect the sound making machine or the IoT technology that is opening the doors. You need to protect something else, your point of sale systems. So we're making available a free downloadable, and you're going to see it on this presentation, to complete a self-assessment. It's an Excel document. It is a copy of the NIST CSF, and it's going to look like this. It's an Excel document with very simplistic questions. You answer yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. By the time you're done, you're going to get that dashboard. So for you to get better, you need to know where you are today. That's why we're providing this for free. If you need any help, if you have any questions, that doesn't mean that I'm going to hit you with a bill. No, this is for free consulting. That's why you came to the conference. Send us an email. Write to Ryan, write to Trent, write to Carlos Michaels. We will answer those questions. We can be friends without necessarily exchanging money. Thank you for your time today.